Hello, welcome to Best Movies channel. In this video, I introduce the story of Schindler's List, an American epic historical film, so stay with me. On the pretext of making this video, I saw the movie Schindler's List again and I was asked again how a movie can be so effective. Adapted and influential films are not few in the history of cinema, but there is no doubt that Schindler's List will have a very special place among them. A film that narrates the life story of Oskar Schindler and shows how this character saved the lives of thousands of innocent people. A character who often ignored his personal comfort and well-being and thought of other people so that they could continue their lives. At the end of the video, if you like the video, I will be happy you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Schindler's List is a 1993 American epic historical drama film directed and produced by Steven Spielberg and written by Steven Zaillian. Steven Spielberg, the director of Schindler's List, made so many quality movies that we probably lost count, and among all these good and memorable movies, Schindler's List is considered by many moviegoers to be his best. It is based on the 1982 novel Schindler's Ark by Australian novelist Thomas Keneally. The film follows Oskar Schindler, a German industrialist who saved more than 1,000 mostly Polish, Jewish refugees from the Holocaust by employing them in his factories during World War II. It stars Liam Neeson as Schindler, Ralph Fiennes as SS officer Amon Goth, and Ben Kingsley as Schindler's Jewish accountant Itzhak Stern. In Krakow during World War II, the Nazis force local Polish Jews into the overcrowded Krakow ghetto. The relocation of Polish Jews from surrounding areas to Krakow begins in late 1939, shortly after the outbreak of World War II, when the German army defeats the Polish army in 3 weeks. Oskar Schindler, a successful businessman, arrives from Czechoslovakia in hopes of using the abundant cheap labor force of Jews to manufacture enamelware for the German military. Schindler, an opportunistic member of the Nazi Party, lavishes bribes upon the army and SS officials in charge of procurement. Sponsored by the military, Schindler acquires a factory for the production of army mess kits and cooking paraphernalia. Not knowing much about how to properly run such an enterprise, he gains a contact in Itzhak Stern, a functionary in the local Judenrat who has contacts with the now underground Jewish business community in the ghetto. They loan him the money for the factory in return for a small share of products produced. Opening the factory, Schindler pleases the Nazis and enjoys his newfound wealth and status as Herr Director, while Stern handles all administration. Stern suggests Schindler hire Jews instead of Poles because they cost less. Workers in Schindler's factory are allowed outside the ghetto, and Stern falsifies documents to ensure that as many people as possible are deemed essential by the Nazi bureaucracy, which saves them from being transported to concentration camps, or even being killed. Amon Goth arrives in Krakow to initiate construction of a labor camp nearby, Pazo. The SS soon liquidates the Krakow ghetto, sending in hundreds of troops to empty the cramped rooms and shoot anyone who protests, is uncooperative, elderly, or infirmed, or for no reason at all. Schindler watches the massacre from the hills overlooking the area, and is profoundly affected. He nevertheless is careful to befriend Goth and, through Stern's attention to bribery, he continues to enjoy the SS's support and protection. The camp is built outside the city at Pazo. During this time, Schindler bribes Goth into allowing him to build a sub-camp for his workers, with the motive of keeping them safe from the depredations of the guards. Eventually, an order arrives from Berlin commanding Goth to exhume and destroy all bodies of those killed in the Krakow ghetto, dismantle Pazo, and to ship the remaining Jews to Auschwitz. Schindler prevails upon Goth to let him keep his workers so that he can move them to a factory in his old home of Zwickau-Brünnlitz in Moravia, away from the final solution, now fully underway in occupied Poland. Goth acquiesces, charging a certain amount for each worker. Schindler and Stern assemble a list of workers that should keep them off the trains to Auschwitz. Schindler's list comprises these skilled inmates, and for many of those in Pazo, being included means the difference between life and death. Schindler also plays a game of high card draw for one worker in particular, Helen Hirsch, who'd been serving as Goth's housekeeper and had been a victim of his continual abuse. Goth is reluctant, hoping to run away with her but knowing that such an action would result in his death as well as hers. He also floats the idea of simply executing her but finally decides to play Schindler for Helen's life. Helen is among those who board the train to Brünnlitz. All of the men on Schindler's list arrive safely at the new site, with the exception to the train carrying the women and the children, which is accidentally redirected to Auschwitz. There, the women are directed to what they believe is a gas chamber. After a harrowing experience where their hair is crudely cut off and they are forced to strip, they see only water falling from the showers. The day after, the women are shown waiting in line for work. In the meantime, Schindler had rushed immediately to Auschwitz to solve the problem and to get the women out of Auschwitz. To this end he bribes the camp commander, Rudolf Haas, with a cache of diamonds so that he is able to spare all the women and the children. However, a last problem arises just when all the women are boarding the train because several SS officers attempt to hold some children back and prevent them from leaving. Schindler, there to personally oversee the boarding, steps in and is successful in obtaining from the officers the release of the children. Once the Schindler women arrive in Zwickau-Brünnlitz, Schindler institutes firm controls on the Nazi guards assigned to the factory. Summary executions are forbidden, abuse of the workers is as well, and the Nazi guards are not allowed on the factory floor. Schindler also permits the Jews to observe the Sabbath, and spends much of his fortune acquired in Poland bribing Nazi officials. In his hometown, he surprises his wife while she's in church during Mass, and tells her that she is the only woman in his life. She goes with him to the factory to assist him. He runs out of money just as the German army surrenders, ending the war in Europe. As a German Nazi and self-described profiteer of slave labor, Schindler must flee the oncoming Soviet Red Army. After dismissing the Nazi guards to return to their families, he packs a car in the night, and bids farewell to his workers. They give him a letter explaining he is not a criminal to them, together with a ring engraved with the Talmudic quotation, "He who saves the life of one man saves the world entire." Schindler is touched but deeply distraught, feeling he could have done more to save many more lives. He leaves with his wife during the night, dressed in Polish prisoner clothes, posing as refugees. The Schindler Jews, having slept outside the factory gates through the night, are awakened by sunlight the next morning. A Soviet dragoon arrives and announces to the Jews that they have been liberated by the Red Army. The Jews walk to a nearby town in search of food. A title card informs us that Schindler was declared a righteous person by the Yad Vashem of Jerusalem, and himself planted a tree on the Avenue of the Righteous in Israel, which still grows to this day. The fate of Goth is also shown. He was captured near the German town of Bad Tolz and taken back to Pazo where, defiant to the end and announcing his allegiance to Hitler, is hanged for crimes against humanity. As the surviving Schindler Jews walk abreast, the frame changes to another of the Schindler Jews in the present day at the grave of Oskar Schindler in Israel. The film ends with a procession of now-aged Jews who worked in Schindler's factory, each of whom reverently sets a stone on his grave. The actors portraying the major characters walk hand in hand with the people they portrayed, also placing stones on Schindler's grave as they pass. Actor Ben Kingsley escorts the late Itzhak Stern's wife, and Caroline Goodall escorts Schindler's wife in her wheelchair. The audience learns that the survivors and descendants of the approximately 1,100 Jews sheltered by Schindler now number over 6,000. The Jewish population of Poland, once numbering in the millions, was at the time of the film's release approximately 4,000. In the final scene, a man, Neeson himself, though his face is not visible, places a pair of roses on the grave, and stands contemplatively over it. And finally, I hope you will see this movie completely and enjoy watching it. I would be happy if you could comment your opinion about this movie.